Well, good morning from Utah, USA. My name's Mike Libecki. I'm going to jump right in here because I got some fun places to take you all today. And let me just share my screen and optimize for video here, and we will jump into this. So optimize. And here we go. So real quickly, I get a couple fancy titles, and one of them is National Geographic Explorer. I've been on the Nat Geo's Explorer team since about 2008. Absolutely grateful for this lifestyle. It's taken me to well over 100 countries, about 90 expeditions. I'm a professional climber, producer, director, filmmaker, specializing in virtual reality these days. From anywhere from climbing first ascents in remote areas to supporting science or film crews in Siberia at minus 70 degrees, you name it, just going around the world trying to capture stories, ultimately to bring back to create emotion. And hopefully that emotion can get us to care about our planet more. And I'm going to share some stories with you to have some examples of that. But I really wanted to talk about, you just mentioned that your sponsors. I'm also a Dell ambassador. I use a lot of technology in the field, at home editing, etc., and been working with Dell for almost 10 years now. And again, I know they're a big sponsor of this event. So I really wanted to represent Dell Technologies and talk about some of the ways that they're helping me in the field, with as well as showing you the organic stories and flow and these equations of these expeditions. Some of my friends made a really interesting little intro about some of the things I do. I'm going to show you guys a short video real quick.
This is Libecki checking in. Absolutely loving life here on the border of China and Kyrgyzstan.
It's definitely an age-old tradition. Explorers wanting to go on those blank places on the map.
Some beautiful unclimbed rock behind me here.
The greatest opportunities for exploration these days are in the vertical realm. And Mike Libecki is the foremost exploratory climber of our age.
This is expedition number 50, halfway point to the goal of 100 expeditions. Life is sweet, the time is now. We'll talk to you soon.
The American Alpine Journal documents the most significant climbs all over the world. Mike appears every year because he is always going to incredibly remote places and finding things that nobody's ever seen before.
82 degrees north, right on top of the globe.
Most of our athletes go on one, maybe two big trips a year. Libecki goes on like 4, 5, 6 expeditions a year.
Mike does a ton of research to try to find the last corners of the earth that are completely unexplored.
He is obsessed. He needs that summit.
He'll go down to Antarctica, he'll hit the tropics, rainforest, above the Arctic Circle, somewhere potentially unstable politically, like Afghanistan. Let's go to Yemen. You want to go climb in Yemen?
Let's go to the weirdest hole on the side of some crazy mountain range and climb some shitty rock.
It's just rotten choss.
And it'll be awesome.
One of the coldest dumps ever taken by man!
He has this unwavering psyche no matter what the situation.
Life is sweet! Sweetness of life, sweetness of bugs.
At the point where any other person would break down and crumble and go home and cry to mommy, Libecki is hitting his stride.
Life is sweet!
Mike has climbing partners, but most of the time he's just alone.
Half of Mike's expeditions have been solo.
But being alone in those intense environments makes you a little bit crazy. He's not crazy, but he's definitely a little bit crazy.
Greetings, northern earthlings. There's the earth flowing. We're on the bottom cap, just standing upside down right now, loving life.
He has his own expedition language, these weird catchphrases.
The time is now, life is sweet. Death and or old age is coming.
The time is now, life is sweet. Why ration passion? Loving life.
A lot of people quote the Dalai Lama or, Gandhi at the end of an email. Mike Libecki quotes himself.
Loving life.
He has a real affinity for wearing weird fucking animal masks.
On the summit, and he'll pull out this crazy mask.
Honestly, I have no idea what the story is with those plastic masks.
Whatever year of the Chinese calendar it is, year of the ram, year of the dragon, year of the rabbit, whatever it is.
Horse mask on his head. And you think, who is this guy?
I think Mike Libecki is a total enigma.
What's this guy all about? Who is the man behind the mask?
Well, the man behind the mask is sitting right here, and I think there's a lot of people that question my mentality or kind of laugh at some of the things I do, but those masks in particular, in 1997, I went and climbed Denali with a good friend of mine from Japan, and we wore full tiger suits in celebration of Year of the Tiger. And what that reminded me of was just that childlike wonder and laughter. And I think if we're finding ways to laugh in life, I mean, look at the immaculate mayhem of this human experience. We need laughter, and anything that's causing organic laughter with our partners, our friends, our family, our community, I think is really, really key to this human experience. And that's one of the things I've learned on these expeditions. When things get tough, we've got to laugh at life. How can we laugh at life every single day? And I think it's gonna make this human experience better for all of us. How I got into exploration, expeditions, and committing this lifestyle, I had a great history teacher in high school, and he talked about the early explorers like Fridtjof Nansen or Ernest Shackleton, and this mysterious explorations way back when there was no technology and you were in the moment. And just that exploration really stuck with me since I was about 16 years old. I also really love mathematics. So that getting that passion for exploration or that curiosity and combining it into a mind that is very mathematical from a young age really set me off to think, how can I explore this world? Or people like John Muir. If you're not familiar with John Muir, he started the Sierra Club. He's one of these conservationists way back that knew we need to protect our planet. Check out John Muir, give him some more research if you don't know much about him, some really, really cool information. Early explorer near and dear to my heart is my grandfather. And he had his own sort of rebellion exploration and inspired me to this very day for what I'm doing. When he was 14 years old, he lived on a farm. He had 14 brothers and sisters. If they didn't work on the farm, they did not eat. So he had a pretty challenging lifestyle. He saw a photo of Yosemite National Park. Yosemite National Park is pretty much the center of the universe for rock climbing. But 14 years old, he ran away from home, hitchhiked, took trains across the country, ended up in California where Yosemite is. He lied about his age to work in Yosemite National Park because he just loved it. Long story short, I was born and raised near Yosemite National Park, where I got into rock climbing, which led to this lifestyle of exploring our world to, well over 100 countries. And again, almost 90 expeditions now. His wife, Bertha, so my grandmother, Bertha, when I was pursuing a degree in math and physics in college, all I could think about was rock climbing and being in the mountains. And my grandmother sat me down and said, what do you want to do? What is in your heart? What is that true organic enthusiasm that you want to do in your life? And it was climbing and exploring our wild places on the planet. So I moved to Yosemite. I was one of these guys who lives in his truck and climbs hundreds of days a year. So just a big shout out to my grandparents for inspiring me to really follow passion, to ask the question, why ration passion? And I hope you can hold on to that question from my grandmother. Why ration passion? Are we doing what we truly want to do in this human experience in our life? Let's see if this is working yet. So from the coldest places on the planet to the deepest, hottest jungles, I mean, again, -70 in Siberia and Antarctica, to scorpions and snakes and 110 plus degrees and 100% humidity all over the world. And these expeditions have really taught me that there's two ways that I look at life. And I wanted to share a couple parallel commonalities of the things I've learned living the exploration expedition lifestyle. There's two ways. There's really two ways I take this to everyday life: expeditions, relationships, being a father, how I do work, business, anything. So there's two ways. The first way is joy. I think we all are pursuing joy with marriages, birthdays, families, gatherings, friends. Joy seems to be that nucleus of the human experience. How are we laughing? How are we having joy? The second way that I experience life in every single way is what I call pre-joy. So we have joy, but there's also this other thing that comes into play called pre-joy. The pre-joy are those, minus 40 degrees here in Antarctica. You're having a tough time in a relationship. Somebody is sick in the family or a friend. Anything that's a challenge, we're just having a tough day. I like to call those challenging times pre-joy because it's still a form of joy. That pre-joy always leads to the ultimate joy, and it seems to be that ebb and flow of pre-joy and joy in our everyday lives. And I think as humans, we all suffer in some way. We all experience these incredible things of joy in our life. And I think that, to me, is really how I experience this life. I have a couple specific stories I want to share with you guys, some really, really special times in my life. Some people will ask, what is your favorite place? All these places you go, what is your favorite? And it's impossible to answer that question because some of the most incredible people and friends I've met around the world are in Afghanistan or Yemen. And then you go to places like Antarctica and Greenland, where there's polar bears and just this magic and power and beauty of our Mother Earth. So I'm going to take you guys on a short trip to Greenland. This is a little project we did with National Geographic. Of course, Dell Technologies is a big sponsor of this event. And on that note, talking about the people I work with, everything we do comes down to teamwork. And I'm so, so grateful for the hundreds, if not thousands of people that I work with that create the teamwork to make this lifestyle, to make these projects possible. So this is a virtual reality exploration that we were doing. And I want to talk about polar bears. These are all polar bears from Greenland. I've been up in Greenland about 14 different expeditions. And polar bears to me are that example of this, being alive. What is this reality? How did we get here? And just the majesty of polar bears is so powerful to me. And I've been around hundreds of polar bears in the wild, a couple times polar bears coming into my tent, wanting to know who I am, very curious. Some pretty emotional, intense times with polar bears. And I want to mention, and I'm on a team and working with people that are trying to protect polar bears, endangered species. Think about climate change. What are we doing? And just a little bit of information. I'm completely against polar bear hunting. And this is either traditional hunting with the cultures in the north, especially trophy hunting. Some statistics here, they're kind of across the board. Polar bears have already a challenge of climate change to survive. But when you add in the hunting of polar bears, for example, there were over 500 polar bears that were shot and killed last year. And that is legal hunting, that's trophy hunting. And it's just devastating. And so I hope that humans come together to realize it is time to stop hunting polar bears. It is time to stop hunting endangered species. It's a very big topic. And, just imagining 80% of those hunted for trophies to be killed so somebody can have a stuffed bear or a rug. I mean, it's just, I look at polar bear hunting as murder, and I think it's absolutely horrendous. And I hope that the people coming together, myself included, can figure out a way to stop polar bear hunting. And when we're out on these trips, getting photos and spending time with polar bears, we're spending a little bit of time with them, getting our photos and experiences, and then walking away. But we want to be a voice for polar bears, and we want people to see this magic and power and beauty that a polar bear is and also represents. Here's a fun little video from Greenland I want to share with you guys.
I can talk all day about how this is 100% safe until you make a mistake. On these trips, there's something that happens. You try to identify the line between dangerous and too dangerous. We're out here in eastern Greenland in one of the most remote places on the planet. This is unexplored Earth, and I'm testing the new Dell Latitude Rugged Extreme product. The technology I need in the field absolutely cannot fail. And I've taken this tablet all over the world, and I can rely on it 100%. We are literally stuck in the ice right now, and what we have to do is just wait for the tide to go up and down in the currents to give us a path. Basically, optimism and Siggy, our captain, are our two things that we're leaning on right now. Siggy, our boat captain, you don't need to get worried unless he's worried. I was on a trip with him 2 years ago, and he was coming to pick me up, and he got stuck in the sea ice in harsh conditions. His boat ended up getting crushed and sank. I mean, this guy is known as the most experienced fisherman and sailor on the east coast of Greenland.
Lots of ice, Siggy.
Lot of ice, yes. Yes, plenty ice.
Basically what we can see is what we get to put in the equation of where we're going to go, how we're going to find our way through the ice. So it's a timeless situation that sailors have had for hundreds of years. Keith was able to fly the drone while I was looking for a passage out of the sea ice on the Dell Latitude Rugged Extreme tablet, and that was key for us to get out of the ice. Siggy's just going to have to weave his way. I mean, this is as far as the eye can see. We've been stuck out here for 6 days straight. We're all feeling a little restless, but there's plenty to play on here. Andy's going to do some scuba diving. I doubt anyone's ever even dove in this area, so not only is it new exploration above water, but new exploration below water. When I first came to Greenland almost 20 years ago, it was all about going climbing. I immediately fell in love with the polar bears, the people, the whales, the mountains, the icebergs, the glaciers, and just the full magic of power and beauty. And I keep coming back, and I know I'll continue to come back. The nucleus is I want to go out and find the most remote, incredible, world-class rock towers and climb them and stand on the summit. I mean, the mystery is the drive.
I think you'd be hard-pressed to find anybody in the world who has as much experience on expeditions as Mike. Just embraces whatever kind of adventure these places will bring him.
Ethan is one of, if not the best all-around rock climber. I've climbed with him all over the world. He's on such a world-class level that he's the guy. As a climber going on multiple expeditions a year, I'm part of the teamwork of the scientific community of trying to find out about microplastics. How are these plastics ending up in the water, and what can we do to stop that? We'll take this back and get it analyzed with adventure scientists and their sources, and we'll see if there are microplastics in this pristine water source. These are places where there are no guidebooks. We're creating the guidebook, and who knows what it's going to be like to get there.
Skildungen is the most beautiful place imaginable. When you first see it, you're like, how does this place even exist? You're like, this is some Lord of the Rings shit right here.
Ethan, to me, is one of my friends where if you don't see each other for a year, you pick up right where you left off. Climbing brought us together. And then those strengths that we both bring that are completely different in the climbing world created this perfect synergy.
There isn't a place on the globe that you can point to that Mike hasn't been. He's been to these remote, desolate, out there places that are sparsely populated and hard to survive in, time and time again.
I'm gonna go see if I can fish us a sweet Arctic char with my alpine fish hook here. Are you kidding me, dude? Wow!
He showed me pictures of the wall that he wanted to climb, and he said, it's gonna be a burly trip, but it's one of the most beautiful places I've ever been, and when Mike Libecki says that to you, you go.
I've kept Skjoldung a secret for 15 years, and there are very few people that I would reveal this place to. And, you know, I was in Greenland with Keith on another trip. I was on another trip with Andy in Greenland. I was on another trip with Ethan in Greenland. We have this history in Greenland together that has already been established, and those roots are so deep. To be out here with some of my closest friends, there's a camaraderie there that is always something positive. We spent over 10 days on the boat, and so we need to get to base camp and we need to get to work if we're gonna get up to this tower, because it's a long approach to get up there. Bugs are getting intimate, for sure. Swarmage.
The valley we're in is a really volatile place. You can hear rockfall all the time.
This is very delicate terrain. Need to be very careful as we meander through here. This is the only thing that really scares me right here is going over these crevasses on this glacier, this moving ice, these ice walls.
Just hang tight, Andy.
Fuck, dude. Just chill for a minute, dude. Hold on.
Scary. Scary. Some serious terrain. Just to access the wall, it's been pretty full value.
We'll load these photos on the Dell Rugged tablet. We'll be able to find our route and zoom in super far and get fine-tuned information. We've got a route that's going up that way, right of the ledge. We're going up somewhere in there. It's not just Ethan and I climbing. It's not just the film crew behind the scenes. We're all working and sweating and toiling and suffering and in pain to make this happen. And I want to see the payoff that we are up there together laughing on a summit. After all the discussions of which route, what are the options, we're going up the steepest, proudest line because it's the one that's there.
I'm feeling a little anxious.
You hear that saying, you know, good things come to those who wait. And it's like, that's fucking bullshit. It's like you get up, you kick ass, you work hard, and you go get that summit.
If I can make it safe, then I'm totally willing to go for it. And if I can't make it safe, I'm often psyched enough that I'll still go for it. Knowing that going into it, it's a little bit nerve-wracking. Just to know that my psych could outweigh my fear and I could put myself in like a dangerous position.
It was such a pleasure for me to see how psyched Ethan was and to be a part of that. I get to embrace his joy, and that joy for me was incredible.
Yeah, buddy.
That was the #1 goal that I wanted for this trip, was all of my friends on a summit. %80 of mountaineering accidents happen on the descent. And of course, the key is safety on the way down. And one of the ways to do that is get rid of some of the weight that we have. I'm out here testing the Dell Latitude Rugged product. We're gonna give it the ultimate test. We're gonna stuff it in the haul bag. We're gonna throw it off the wall, 2,000-foot fall, and we'll see if it survives. We're ready to launch. Yeah! Nice! Dude, that was perfect! Woohoo! It survived. This thing took a 2,000-foot fall. Still powers up. I mean, that's pretty impressive. I've had the highest of highs that I could ever imagine in Greenland. And there is nothing more special than sharing this magical and powerful place with my friends. Greenland is a home in my heart. You know?
So some pretty special times on those trips, and especially being out there with friends, there's nothing like it. I mean, talking about this human experience, you know, what's more important than our family and our friends and the people and community and all of us around each other? I think it really is about human connection. I want to share with you favorite part of this presentation today, and this is with my daughter. My daughter is 19 years old now. When she's had a very unique lifestyle growing up, traveling around the world with me, very, very unique, privileged, grateful lifestyle. We did a big project in Antarctica and Africa when she was 11 and 12. And she became really inspired to think, Dad, these expeditions, these adventures are great. What are we doing to give back? How are we part of the global community? And so when she was 12, she started a 501c3 nonprofit humanitarian organization with the intentions and efforts of how can we give back to our planet? What can we do to make the world a better place? And with all the research and connecting with different humanitarian organizations, one of the biggest needs was computer literacy and computer education for communities and kids that don't have that opportunity to have access to computers, to have access to the technology and the education. And what that leads to is kids getting a chance to get into college or having a different career path. And there are millions of kids around the world that don't have access to computer literacy and education. So we do big projects where we build schools around the world. We bring solar power, we bring computer literacy and education through training, sustainable projects. And I want to show you just a 3-minute little film of one of our last projects before COVID hit.
Why go to the other side of the planet to try and help someone you've never met? Why trust strangers to come together for a common cause? Why give away our precious time, energy, and resources?
So we've just arrived in Palawan, Philippines. We're getting all the solar panels together, all the computers and equipment, and we're ready to work hard and be kind and do some good.
We just arrived in the Batak village here where Heaven's Eye School is. We are finishing up the construction on this new building, the roofs on the pre-existing building. We're here to make the quality of these lives here the highest quality they can be.
We feel so excited, we feel so happy. We don't really expect this to happen. It started with a dream, and here it is. Things are really happening here.
The Batak have lived in these mountain ranges for centuries. They are disadvantaged because they don't know how to read and write. Education has brought so much to their lives. The benefit of having access to modern technology is that their world has just gotten bigger.
Malaga talaga yan. Kasi daw kaya mo yan, laging may nagbugay ka naman. At gusto ko kalyag at mga anak ko, pakara sila tadal para katapos sila. Ito kaya yat pag ingabuton silang, kalyag silang ingabuton.
There's a saying that we're only 6 degrees of separation away from anyone on this planet. If you start to look at the world through this lens, then why wouldn't you try to help someone you've never met before?
Officially confirmed that it is monsoon season in the Philippines. We've got all the solar up on the computer lab. The guys are finishing up the floors so we can get all the tables, desks, chairs, and computers in. And then in the meantime, we're now working on the school.
We are actually in the process of teaching the teachers at Heaven's Eyes Mission Tribal Academy how to use technology.
We are teaching the kids how to actually just use the computer for the very first time. And we're working with things like colors and imagery and things that they can get really excited about to get them started.
The appreciation from everybody for not only the hardware we brought, but the kindness and the love of everybody coming in to help advance the students here in the village has just been very eye-opening.
Humanitarianism is the ability to look at each individual as someone that can grow and thrive, and our ability, no matter where they are, to give them that path and support them with resources is really something that we should be called to do.
For me, it's accepting that we're all one human race. I think this world and this life can be really tough sometimes as it is without, us not being kind to each other.
It's being able to see outside of yourself and realize that there is a lot more to community.
It's more than about just showing up. In my mind, it's really about a sustained initiative to provide help.
The only way to be sustainable is to have relationship. And you can't have relationship without being here, without coming back, without committing the finances and the resources and the ideas to come.
We're really all in this together. Having the opportunities and the resources that have been afforded to us and being able to share them with folks who might not have the same access is critical to the success of us as a humanity, but it's really the way that we're supposed to be living.
For me, it's definitely been a realization of how different life can be for so many people. Technology enables them, it helps connect them to the broader world.
Without computer literacy, they can't get into a college. For them to be able to get that level of education and experience and then bring that back to their community, they would need this.
We have an obligation to give back. It's the greatest sense of joy that you can receive by giving to others.
I think I choose to do the easy give back in my own town. It's really easy to go walk a dog. It's really easy to go to the food bank and sort through food. If you have the opportunity to do something like this, take it. It is hard, emotionally, physically, and so worth it.
We all need things from this earth: a place to live, food to eat, and water to drink. We need resources to travel, to work, and to live. If all of us only take and never give back, there will be nothing left for the generations to come. That's why as a global family, we need to do whatever we can to give back, be kind, and do good.
So as my daughter said, be kind and do good. And this is her organization, the joyfund.org, if you want to learn more about it. But she's a huge inspiration to myself, her mom, our family, friends, of just, how are we being kind and doing good? What are we doing to give back? And the efforts and intentions are there. We learn a lot along the way, make a lot of mistakes, but we're trying to do some good in this world. I just wanted to share with you just a short time in another favorite spot of mine in Antarctica. Usually down in Antarctica, it's skiing or climbing, different kind of adventures down there. Such an incredibly unique place. I've definitely the magic and power and beauty of Antarctica is incomparable. And, our last pristine continent and, the climbing, the walls, it's just such an honor to be able to go experience this place. The next little project I'm going to show you a few minutes was a little different. And I've been taking water samples from all over the world, working with a team of scientists for microplastics research. Where are these microplastics coming from? Anyone listening right now might have heard there's microplastics in human blood now, in human lungs, anywhere, just all over. So we're really working on the microplastics research to find the who, what, when, why, where. We partnered on a really great trip just several months ago with Dell. And I want to show you guys the short video that the work in progress that we're doing right now. But this is such a huge topic. You'll learn more about this in this video, but it's estimated now that 12 million tons of plastics are going to our oceans every year. So enjoy this little informational video here.
We think of wild places as being pristine, as if our choices have no effect. But the reality is, we put over 12 million tons of plastic in our oceans every year. And because of that, 1 out of every 3 fish we eat has plastic in its body.
Even though microplastics are a really new field of study, every food system that we've looked in, every habitat that we've looked in, every water source that we've looked in contains microplastic pollution.
We can't see so much of what's happening in the ocean. We need science to see that for us, to tell us what's happening.
The only way to get control of the problem is to begin trying to understand it. We're on the National Geographic Explorer. We're headed to the Drake Passage, and in about 2 days, we're going to be at the Antarctic Peninsula. This is a really innovative trip.
Tighten these down. The purpose of this expedition is to study microplastic transportation and concentration throughout the Antarctic Peninsula to help fill in some of the knowledge gaps in the field of microplastics research.
I met Abby Barrows several years ago. She asked me to take samples of water from all over the world to bring back for her to test for microplastics.
I first heard about microplastics in 2012, and a light went off for me. I couldn't believe that the waters that I grew up on were filled with plastic. Everything had been touched by plastic pollution. I've been conducting microplastics research since 2013. With adventure scientists, we were able to sample in all of the world's oceans, but there was absolutely more need to get samples from the polar regions.
Abby's doing the first microplastic air sampling in Antarctica.
We're out here collecting the microplastic samples to build the model for our future algorithm.
Josh recognizes the potential of the machine learning and has the technological skill set to facilitate this data capture with Abby. And after seeing that my skills as an explorer, as a professional climber around the world can actually help science, it really ignited that organic enthusiasm, and this expedition is no exception. It makes me feel like I have some meaning and purpose to put this expedition together.
Any bridge yet from our end, you can board.
Okay, thank you. My name's Jennifer Kingsley. I've been working in Antarctica as a guide for 4 years. Antarctica is the closest I think most of us will ever get to going to another planet, and it is a place that feels unchanged, even though we know it's changing all the time. For most of the people who come here, it's really a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
631155 West. Time is 8:36. I met Jennifer Kingsley several years ago. It was really nice to reconnect with Jenny on this trip because she's been an integral part of our teamwork.
This is a total dream trip. Never thought I would have the opportunity to come to Antarctica and to be able to ask these research questions that are begging to be asked.
Can you tell I built this myself?
We want to experience Antarctica as a place that is untouched and that has no human footprint, but that's simply not the case. When we see whales, when we see seals, these are populations that are in recovery. This is a place where wildlife were hit hard by people in the past.
Flotillas went to the Antarctic as to war to kill the blues. These scenes record the destruction of an irreplaceable resource. Now, for commercial purposes, the blue whale is an extinct animal.
There are reminders of the whaling industry all over the place down here. It's not difficult to find a beach that's covered in whale bones. As much as we come here for a wilderness experience or something that's really beautiful and amazing, we need to know that we also have the power
to impact it heavily, not only do we have that power, but we've done that. We've already done that. My fear is that these seemingly pristine beaches will have the remains of our plastic misuse, and the environment will never be the same. We need everyone involved in science. The more different kinds of people we see in science, the more interesting and better questions we're going to ask.
We're on James Ross Island, which is actually really remote, even for the peninsula. Not many people come here, and we're standing on moraine, actually rock and dirt. This used to be a huge glacier, and it's a testament and evidence that climate change is very real.
Since this is the first of its kind research on the Antarctic Peninsula, I was so eager to plug in my microscope and have a look at those samples. One way to think about the bioaccumulation of microplastics in the food chain is to start with the plankton. A plankton ingests one piece of microplastic. A krill eats 100 plankton. A fur seal comes along and eats 1,000 krill. An orca comes and eats 10 fur seals. So by the end of its life, that orca could have consumed millions of pieces of microplastic.
This is an incredible opportunity this morning. We're in the South Shetland Islands. You can see behind me hundreds of chinstrap penguins, if not thousands. We're doing machine learning with facial recognition on these penguins, using edge technology to better analyze data and provide more insights for research.
It's one thing to have this great technology to work with in the field, but it's equally as important to communicate with my family.
Hey, Ayo, you want to tell me what you're doing?
My daughter is always at the forefront of my mind.
Okay, I love you, babe.
I don't want my daughter to grow up in a world full of plastic pollution. I don't want microplastic research to even be a field of research. During the course of this expedition, we were able to take 18 samples on board the ship, 24 water samples, and 38 air samples. I'm hoping that we will gather a snapshot of microplastic transport and concentration along the Antarctic Peninsula and the Drake Passage.
If I can bring those stories back and share these with people and they can feel the emotion, I really think that's a big part of the teamwork to change our planet, to get people to care.
It's really important for people to become more aware of how their actions as consumers are contributing to the global budget of plastics in our oceans.
To think about the world through her project, looking for the things that she's looking for that we can't actually see, has given me a new perspective on the unseen.
Now is the time to act, to protect our planet and prevent further damage.
We can vote with our dollar. We need to think about policy. We need to think about extended producer responsibility models and really think how we can make changes quickly so we can stop pollution at its source. All of our little actions to stop plastic consumption add up and can create a tidal wave of change. And change is absolutely imperative now if we don't want a future choked with plastic pollution. There's no reason to wait any longer because the oceans can't wait.
So of course the question, what are we all doing to help solve the plastic problem? And I know that we're all part of it, and it's such a challenge. Sometimes feels hopeless, but there's a lot that we can do. And I think it's a discussion to be had with your family, your friends, your community, your colleagues. Absolutely a discussion. And there is a lot that we can do. And it's going to be up to us to save this planet in many ways for the future generations to come. And I'm a big fan of Einstein, and he's got a couple things to say, not only about the mystery of life, but the responsibility that we have from our past generations to continue the work and the knowledge and education, and for us to be able to pass that on to the future generations. We have an absolute responsibility that is timeless on this planet. I do want to give a big shout out to Creativity Conference people, all the teamwork. Of course, without teamwork, nothing happens. So big cheers to teamwork. And I want to leave you with just one more little message. So for those of you that hung in there, thanks for watching. Appreciate the time and energy. And yeah, here we are. About a year of expeditions and about 45 minutes there.
If anyone has any questions for Mike, feel free. Now is your time to ask. I will allow you all to unmute yourselves. So just 1 second, and then go ahead and ask away.
Yeah, if anyone has any thoughts, comments, ways that we can make the world a better place, of course, are always welcome. And if not, that's fine too.
You go first, mate. Tony, you go first.
Thanks, Billy. Mike, it's a pleasure to have watched you. My question is basically just, how do you choose at this point? I imagine you're just flush with opportunities to explore, to climb different things, see different places, contribute to different causes. How do you choose what to work on next at this point of your career?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. You know, there's a lot of the opportunities are created sort of by pushing and asking and finding and you know, continually working. I mean, as you probably know, the funding is a big part of it. And so trying to find partners, especially in the economy and you know, all the challenges, the funding is always difficult, but you know, it comes from a lifestyle of researching and planning. I mean, I have USGS map drawers with thousands of maps. So pre-internet, you know, I just would scope and with literally like Sherlock Holmes with a magnifying glass, like hot on the trail of a clue, like what's unexplored, what is this place, what's this island, and just go, go, go. And that organic enthusiasm for looking for climbing or exploration on a athlete side of things has turned into connecting with Nat Geo and filmmaking and science, and the skills and experience I have to bring those to teams to be able to go and make sure people can do their work in any environment. So especially, you know, you saw in this presentation, there was a lot of Dell technologies there. We work on so many different things together, from their sustainability side, from their give back side, from their rugged computer side. I've worked and meet people that I could never have imagined that basically a climbing bum lifestyle for years evolved into. And it's just, again, I just have a lot of gratitude that so many different directions that this lifestyle has led me. And again, the teamwork and the support for that funding. But it does come back to, I really want to find these untouched, unclimbed, remote places as an athlete, to take science there, to do research. I think the best part about all this is the humanitarian work that I'm doing with my daughter. That is the most rewarding and special parts, that we've done these projects where now we're hearing that, hey, these kids actually got into college. They've got the career, like it's working. That feeling of, you know, I talk about human experience and what's it all about, but that giving back, or that trying to be part of a community and have a bigger sense, rather than, oh, let's go climbing or skiing, or, you know, it feels like that it's helping our community in some way, and our global community, and that's pretty special. So that's a long answer, but it's such a multi-directional lifestyle. I feel so grateful to be in so many different directions at this point.
I appreciate how your expertise as a climber and your being a world-class in that thing for a creativity conference, how you've managed to leverage that, or just, and not even, it wasn't by design in the way you're saying it, it's just, you became this thing because you were following your curiosity and your passion. You developed these skills, and then that has led you down this path, which I think for creatives tends to be the way that it goes. So thank you for articulating that.
I appreciate you saying that because, you know, it's why I talked about my grandparents in the beginning. And they were their stories of how they were raised, you know, both of them, 13 brothers and sisters, 14 brothers and sisters, didn't go to high school. If they didn't work the farm, their family didn't eat. And my grandmother especially was so intent on, you have an opportunity now to pursue that passion. What is that passion? You can find a way to do it, as to where maybe they didn't have that same opportunity. So I still have this feeling of, you know, I wear a necklace that is from my grandmother that's been on my neck for a long, I mean, it's been on my neck for over 20 years without taking it off. And I still am inspired by, you know, her words and her message that the time is now. What is that passion? Go live it. So it was a really big inspiration for my grandparents to carry that on to my daughter, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, it's one of those stories of, you followed that passion and somehow it turned into, in our society, a way to make a living and a way to have a fulfilling human experience. So thanks for the words on that. Yes, please. I think Billy Cam.
Okay,
yeah.
so can I just start? Yeah, I mean, oh, can you see me?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm
a little delay, but I can hear you.
So I'm kind of obsessed with explorers. That's the top of my shelf, and love traveling. My partner's off to go and explore the spirit bears in northern Canada later the year. And I just wanted to say, it was so, first of all, I was so humbled when you started with your grandparents. Yeah, like it was just so amazing to have somebody push you and give you the encouragement, because without that, we don't go and chase our dreams. We need to believe it, but we also need somebody else to give us the shove. And then how the influence of what you've done as a father has affected the course that your daughter's taking and the impact she's trying to make on the world. And I love what you've been saying about, you know, giving back. I did this project where I interviewed 100 mavericks, and one of the people I interviewed was the woman who wrote Pay It Forward. And it was some of the things you were saying was really resonating with those conversations. I've already sent you a note to say, I'm doing this podcast. I think you and your daughter and the impact you're having would be great to include on there. But I just want to say thank you. Thank you for the wow. Thank you for having the balls to live the life that you're living, because in this world we have a lot of people who are living a life where they're not living their dream, you know, and it's always nice to meet a human being who's doing that. So thank you very much. I loved all the pictures. Yeah, it was amazing. I met my partner in the Sahara, so we're on this. I love that shit.
I love those are special words. Thanks for sharing that, because you know, I wanted to share a lot of different things. I had so much time, so I kind of want to run through it. But these are all such special experiences. And, you know, I always say the best part of my lifestyle is getting to be out there in the field. And I just feel so grateful, because I'll be honest, I have no family money. There's no support from family or money in any way. And it's all teamwork, the people that I work with. So I really want to make that clear, that without this teamwork and support, none of this happens. But that the best part is being out in the field. The second best part is being able to share these experiences that will maybe somehow inspire someone to follow their passion, and that you can do it. Or what are we doing to give back? Or wait, do I really need to buy those single-use plastics? Whatever the message is, you know, these stories are so important for so many reasons. And it just, again, the front wall of that, my mind is just gratitude of being able to do this, being able to share that. And so I appreciate your words on that.
I think we're built from a similar page. I used to be a children's nurse, and all the stuff we've done, like we jumped out of an aeroplane over New Zealand, and all the money just went to the Sick Children's Trust. We've been doing this for years. It's the thing that makes you feel alive and human.
Yeah, and I think, you know, I mentioned math and physics, and I'm, you know, a big Einstein and many other people, but I think one of the things I really loved, this has kind of sparked that, is our responsibility to our ancestors and our past generations. You know, we don't know this matrix experiment, we don't know what's happening after we die, but I love how he explains our responsibility and our purpose to the past generations, to everyone that's lived to our time now, and our responsibility to pass on our energy and our experience to the generations to come. And I think that life can be pretty challenging. There's a lot of mental wellness things to talk about, and oh, hey, we're just gonna die and nothing matters. And it's like taking that to the side of it all matters. And we have a responsibility to hold on to the purpose and meaning that, yeah, we're all gonna go just like our great grandparents and everyone, but to hold on to that sense that we have a meaning and purpose and responsibility to all of the past generations and future generations. I just love that, because life just gets confusing sometimes. And it's just like, wait, we do have meaning and purpose to have integrity and to try to live the highest quality life that we can. And I think it's a special discussion. So.
I think the thing I like, what you've just said, that what it makes me think of, Mike, is, you know, the native Indians, how any decision they make, they think about the consequences of that on the next 7 generations. So anybody wants to join into the conversation. But, you know, it's like you say, we have a responsibility about what kind of ancestor we want to be.
Yeah. No, it's powerful. It's very powerful. So
thank you so much.
Thank you.
I had a kind of random question for you, if that's okay.
Please, the more random and
I am huge into caving. Have you ever done any caving or looking to do any kind of caving, like ventures in the future?
Yeah, I've done a decent amount in some unique places for sure.
Where is your the favorite place that you've caved?
You know, I think my favorite cave is on a small island off the coast of Yemen called Socotra Island. And it's I highly recommend you all look up Socotra Island, Yemen. It is one of the most unique places. It's sort of like the Galapagos of that area, but it's there's 300 endemic species. Anyway, there's a cave we went into probably about just almost a mile down, and it was pretty wild, but definitely a unique experience being into the earth that deep. But that sounds like you have a passion for caving, spelunking, you know.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I highly recommend going there. Great people, great people.